Good morning. Welcome to our next session in the Professional Development Lecture Series here at the College of Education. You're going to be learning today about wellness, health, and nutritional applications in our schools. All right, we have our three presenters here. We're going to be talking about how we can help our students be healthy. Let me turn it over to them.
Okay, again, good morning, ladies. Welcome to UTPA and the College of Education. We're here representing the Health and Kinesiology Department. Obviously, I'm going to be presenting first. My name is Gavino Garza. We have to my left over here, Ms. Nancy Rocha and Ms. Jeannean Ryman. We're full-time lecturers here in the Health and Kinesiology Department. Some a little longer than others. And so we're here just to share again, a few wellness components that impact the health of South Texas children. And so as we go through this outline here, that's the first one we're going to cover there, the first item. I'll do the first two items there, the impact of health on South Texas children and physical health and cognition. And then Ms. Rocha will do the next two items, followed by Ms. Jeannean Ryman, the last three items. If you all follow on your handouts there, you all have a copy of the PowerPoint presentation there. Basically, we're gonna be talking about how physical activity affects our children, who it affects, and how we can incorporate some activities in the classroom and education into our program, and how obviously when we try to come up with activities, it's important that we create activities, be creative, and that are fun for our children, where they learn, and at the same time they're benefiting from the physical standpoint. And so little introduction here, dealing with health and longevity. Obviously, there's a few factors that are involved here. One of which is obvious, genetics, and how it affects our health sometimes. Some of us are biologically made by our parents. I guess some of us might say, unfortunately, where we struggle a little more than others. Our environment is another factor that plays a role. Who we're around, where we're at, and so forth. Our behavior, how we react to things, how we, the decisions we make in reference to our health, really helps us either lengthen and/or we end up handicapping ourselves from benefiting. And so, just a little introduction about what kinds of factors are involved in health and longevity here. Moving right along here, there's some statistics here and some studies that have been put together that we wanted to share with you guys. Obviously, you all have it right in front of you there. Preschool obesity. New study says 18% of preschoolers are obese, with higher percentages among most minorities, and they're categorized by the different ethnicity. Just some percentages there. And I don't know if y'all are aware of this, but here in South Texas, particularly the McAllen-Edinburgh Mission area, I don't know if y'all have heard about that, but we have the highest rate in the nation of obesity. And so it all starts by educating our youngsters. I know that with all these state requirements that the school has impressed upon us, it's it's kind of hard. They try to modify things and to try to get students to do well with their academics, and they try to, unfortunately, cut out on different other aspects of their academics, and unfortunately, one of them is physical education. And we need to keep that in mind, that we stress that to our administrators, our colleagues, because it's important that we be physically active. Obviously, as we get older, things are a little rougher. We become more responsible. We have personal responsibilities such as a family and stuff, and so it becomes a little tougher to make time, and we always have excuses. And so we need to stress that to our school children, and be sure that we always keep that in mind, and try to endorse or impress that upon our, as I said, colleagues and administrators. Again, just some statistics here. Leading causes of death in the United States, the different health issues here, cardiovascular disease, the percentage. This is what is now, and basically it's divided, as you can see there, with these percentages. Again, and all this is as a result of whether we're active or non-active. And so it's important for us to stress that. The estimated impact of the increasing trend in obesity by 2023 is shown here. If we compare it to the previous slide or page, it looks like things are going to change. I know it's become more common now that people are diabetic, and sometimes, again, it's hereditary, it's in our genetics, but we can always do something about that, and that is one of the issues, most important issues, is stressing physical activity. I always tell my students that we're 18, we're 20 years old, 22 years old, with a traditional type college students right now, and I say, you're not going to be 18 or 20 the rest of your life. You may look good now, and so decisions that we make in the future makes a difference as to where we'll be 10, 15, 20 years from now. And then I go on to tell them that, when you get to be my age, 28 years old, it gets tougher. Okay, this here again is our few more stats here on these bar graphs here. United States healthcare cost increments since 1950. It's cost us trillions of dollars over the last half a century or so. And so that's what this is demonstrating here. As probably most of us, if not all of us, have come across, how we want to get some insurance, we want to see the best possible rates, and try to save some money. I know that before we fall under a certain category, these companies will ask some questions such as, do you smoke, do you drink, how often do you do it, what kinds of foods do you eat, and et cetera. And so that determines how high your cost will be. Obviously, if you've already come across some health issues, then your rates are going to be higher because you're more at risk, obviously. And that's how these things come about as well. Again, these are some statistics and just some studies that have taken place, and we're going to go through a few more in just a minute in reference to physical activity and academics and or cognition. And that's our second segment here, physical health and cognition. And again, just some more studies that prove to us and that alert us so that we can be able to share this with our students in reference to scholastic achievement and overweight middle school children. the decreased scholastic achievement of overweight middle school children. Major study looked at normal weight, NW, compared to overweight, OW students, and found, normal weight, 11% of higher GPAs for normal weight over overweight students have been found. These are the different categories that they came up with. Higher GPAs, fewer absences, fewer tardies. It's been found that normal weight students benefit more so than overweight students. We have the percentages for overweight boys that repeat a grade, overweight girls that repeat a grade, whether they are expected to finish college or not, boys and girls, that's a percentage when we're overweight. They found a relationship between these individuals through these studies, and so these are just some facts and statistics. Physical activity and cognition here. Obviously, exercise facilitates children's executive functions, and also the level of physical activity positively relates to several cognitive skills among school-age children. And those are the different categories of this study that took place. How many of us here, this small crowd, I'm not used to speaking to small crowds, but nonetheless, how many of y'all are currently physically active, if I may ask? None. One. Okay. And so, as I indicated earlier, I wanted to pose that because, again, we all have personal responsibilities. Perhaps we have a job, we have a family, and we just, for some reason, we find excuses. That's human nature. We do that all the time. The biggest one that I have found in courses that I've taught here, activity courses with our students, is that the biggest issue is time. I don't have time. And then I put something on the board for them that says you do. And what happens is that these traditional students value so much their sleep, and they really implement what is set in stone about, I got to get my 8 hours of sleep. And some like to sleep a little longer than that. And so time is a big issue. What other kinds of things can y'all think of that keeps us from, I guess we make excuses about not being physically active? Anybody?
I usually don't have a lot of time, but then what I do is at work, I work on the third floor, so I go up the stairs extra times.
There you go.
I don't find time.
Okay. And time management skills are rather challenging to deal with. And if we really put the pen to the paper and make a little schedule out, we can find time to do it. Even though we say we don't, again, we only have to sleep 5 or 6 hours a night, but we don't accept that most of the time. But okay, and so time is one. We use stairs. Some of us want to try to find parking. Some of our students are looking for parking for half an hour, 45 minutes, and then they're late to class, and they say, well, I couldn't find parking. Well, yeah, you want to find parking right by your classroom, which is not going to happen. And so, it's important that we think about how just walking from one place to another, climbing stairs as opposed to taking the elevator. I know I did the stairs this morning. I don't know what everybody else did, but,
I usually do the stairs, but.
The stairs, but, yeah. And so, some of these things that we take for granted can really benefit us. We just don't think about that. And so time is crucial. Excuse me. And anybody else? Can y'all think of something else that... Yes, keeps you from... you make excuses. I can't do it. Your children. Nowadays, there's gyms out there that provide childcare, and we just either don't know that, we don't trust the people, the personnel that's there, and so we'll make an excuse of some kind. And again, we'll never know until we give it a shot. But child care is one. I'm going to share a story that is, I tell my students, all my stories are true. I'm going to share a story that in reference to time management and physical activity, exercising, that I share with my students all the time. I used to work in Stark County as a full-time academic advisor for STC, and I was housed at the Stark County campus. That's in Rio Grande. And being from this area here, commuting every day, was rather challenging. There was construction taking place in Palmview. They hadn't done that. The freeway wasn't done. And so I used to commute from here to Rio on a daily basis, roughly an hour and 5 to an hour and 15, depending on traffic. That's on the way up and on the way back. That's already 2.5 hours of my day already that I had to jot down on paper and say, do I have time to exercise? Okay, and that's the time management that I'm talking about. And so I'm at work from 8 to 5, travel time to get there, travel time to get back. So I'm talking about leaving approximately at 6:45 in the morning to be at work at 8. Work from 8 to 5, 5 till about 6:15, I'm on the road again. I get home, now I'm coming to my family. Okay? I get home, my children are involved in extracurricular activities. They got practice, they have games. Here I go. So I get home at 6:15 in the evening, and there I go to their practices. I'm out there with them for an hour, hour and a half. We're already at 7:30 approximately in the evening. 7:30 comes around, 7:45, maybe even 8 o'clock. We get home. Here we go, personal responsibilities. We got to get them to get into the shower. We got to get them to do their homework. We got to feed them. By the time it's all said and done, we're talking about 9:30 or 10 in the evening. Now it's my time, parents' time. Now I got to get ready to get to bed so that I can try to get up and do my things. So by the time I get into bed, it's 10:30, 11 at the very earliest. And that was very typical, Monday through Friday, when I used to work in Stark County. And so now I get to bed around approximately 11 o'clock, but I put it on paper. And I have to wake up at 4 in the morning to go to the gym, be there by 4:30 or 5, work out from 4:30 or 5 till about 5:45 or 6 in the morning, get ready, get cleaned up to go to work, and leave at 6:45. So it can happen. And from 11 to about 4:30 in the morning, we're talking about 5.5 hours of sleep. But we don't want to do that. We want the 8 hours that are recommended, right? And so it can happen. You just, we need to put it on paper if that's what it takes, so we can be able to work with these things. Went right along here because I can be here all day, as we all can. Physical activity and academic performance. First item here, children who engaged in vigorous physical activity perform better in school than those that perform moderate or no physical activity. And then the second fact here, or study, indicates aerobic fitness scores is positively related to achievement in standardized tests of mathematics and reading among school-age children. And so I know right now technology has played a big role, not only with us adults, but mostly with children, because we buy them all these games that are computerized nowadays, and everybody has a computer. We have all these sophisticated phones and stuff that everybody has knowledge of except me. And so children nowadays, instead of coming home from school to get their homework done first and then staying a little active, if they're not in extracurricular activities, what kinds of things can we do for our children? Children of our own, what kinds of things can we do? Remember, we have all this technology. That's a big issue nowadays, right? We don't want to go outside with them to go play. They want to play, but you don't want to go outside. It's too hot. Mom and Dad think it's too hot. It's time consuming, of course. It's challenging because we're tired. We just came home from work. We don't want to take them outside. You know what, Milo? Just go ahead and play with your PlayStation or whatever they're called nowadays, right? There's PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. People are getting richer because we're buying it from them, and you know, they're indoors. They're not physically active is the point, and where they can be benefiting as opposed to being outside. And so, what other kinds of things? What can y'all think of anything that we can benefit from in reference to physical activity other than, you know, perhaps maintaining our weight or losing a few pounds here or there? What kinds of things is physical activity? How else can we benefit from physical activity? After seeing some of these things here that I've put up, that we put.
Energized to do other.
You feel more energized. Why would we do it? We feel more energized, especially first thing in the morning. I used to be so energized when I was going to work at, 6:45, 7 in the morning, and then we work, and then we start winding down towards the end of the day, right? But immediately we feel energized. What else? Why else?
Doesn't it make like our bones or tissue like more flexible, especially for kids who are always like falling down?
Absolutely. Okay. Very good point. That's true. Why would we want to exercise or be physically active besides feeling more energized and perhaps what you even said? What else? What other kinds of things?
For our health.
For our health, okay.
You focus better also. You rebuild your brain cells.
Okay. You focus better on things we're supposed to focus on, such as perhaps our academics, and that's how these things come about.
You feel confident.
You feel confident. Very good. What else?
I keep active because then when I go to bed, I feel like the 4 or 5 hours that I sleep so well.
Okay. Okay. It gives you a sense of, I guess, accomplishment, and so you feel better about yourself, and so you're gonna be relaxed. Okay, good. Anybody else want to share something with us? So there's a lot of things out there for us that physical activity does for us, and exercise, and we need to emphasize that day in and day out to our children, our own children, and to our school children. There's a big issue. We know it. We just need to address it as best as we can. And if we can recall when we were in elementary, grade school back in the day, we used to have some physical educators and some coaches. Who played sports here? Raise your hand. Nobody played sports? Okay. Okay. Us three over here did. And so, what kinds of things, how can you benefit from this stuff? And so, you play sports. We used to see our physical educators and our coaches were somewhat overweight. I'm going to put it very lightly. I'm going to be conservative about it. And so, if we as educators don't look good for our school children are going to do what in turn? Huh? Coach, look at the way you look, man. You're going to make me run a Texas lap? If you can't do it, why shall I do it? They'll say that stuff. I was in public education for a while and a physical educator, and they will say those things. And things are slowly but surely changing in reference to educators, but we need to set the example and emphasize it. And sometimes we just say, yeah, we're going to do it, and we don't. We need to remind ourselves, but we need to be a good role model if we're going to be preaching that. And so that's basically my section of the presentation. Are there any questions, concerns? I hope that when it's all said and done after this morning, you all have a different outlook of what physical activity is all about. And this is just one of a few components that is important for our children that I would like for you guys to emphasize.
So is PE now in the school districts like once a week only? I think that's.
I know that at the elementary level, and Jeannean, you may want to help me out because you may be a little more updated with this, with the laws now, but I know that at the elementary level, 135 minutes a week, is that correct, was recommended? Or is the minimum state standard? That was in elementary, 135 minutes. Because now they got, well, choir's been around for a while, but they got a computer class that they send them to also, choir, computers, and sometimes they pull them out of physical education to, get them back to par with their academics. So at the elementary level, if it hasn't changed, it's 135 minutes per week. How they decide to do that, how long the classes are, they're typically 45 minutes. So we're talking about three times a week. I know that we see a commercial nowadays from professional athletes that say, play 60, and where, they recommend 60 minutes a day. But, of course, it's going to vary and from place to place, from children to children, but that's the minimum. And sometimes it's hard to meet that requirement. I know I used to be on top of my children when they're in elementary, because sometimes they wouldn't get that minimum 135 because of such big numbers in the schools now too. They have trouble fitting in all these classes because they got big numbers and try to get everybody to the 135. But that's what it is in elementary nowadays. Any other questions?
What would be the ideal time for them to exercise, like in the morning or in the afternoon?
Well,
Because what I've noticed is some of the kids, one of the classrooms that I was last semester, they would take them to exercise in the morning. And then the kids were all riled up all day long. And then the teacher would have problems kind of setting.
that's unusual. That's unusual. It's surprising me that you're saying that because typically, if they expend their energy early, then you should have better control.
That's what I was.
Yeah, and so when you said that, you're kind of surprising me. Sometimes you got to get them out because they want to expend that energy, and that's where you get the misbehavior in the classrooms. And then you have trouble, and then you can't teach them anything. You can't teach them what 1 + 1 is because they're bouncing off the wall, because they need to expend that energy. So early in the day is best. We feel energized, you said, early in the morning. That's when we have the most energy, and then we start winding down. So it's recommended that it be done, first thing in the morning. And even us as adults, if we don't have time, if we feel tired, we have a full-time schedule at school. We have a family to support. We may have a job, and then when you're done, at the end of the workday, I would do my stuff in the morning that early before I went to work for the same reason. I felt energized, get it out of the way, feel better about myself, be more productive, and then, go to work. Because after work, what are we going to say? Oh, I'm tired. You already lost all that energy. And so we're not going to do that for the most part. After work, after school, you all come for afternoon classes, evening classes. You're tired. You just want to get home and relax. And so first thing in the morning is what's recommended, and that would be the best. Okay, well, thank you for being here, and good luck to you all. And I hope that we can take something with us and share it with others, as this is what it's about. Thanks again.
Well, good morning, everybody. Glad you all made it out on a Saturday morning. I know how hard it is, especially with all kinds of responsibilities. I have 5 kids myself, so I can totally attest to everything that goes on. Yes. One of them is actually at a track meet right now, and I'm missing her first track meet, but I'm here for you guys, and I want to, like Mr. Garza said, make sure that you take something, you know, from this with you, because a lot of times we learn things in the classroom, you know, we learn things from a textbook, but we forget to apply it. So big thing. One of the things that I want to talk to you about first before I get started, as Mr. Garza said, I am a nutritionist. I have 2 bachelors, 1 in exercise and 1 in nutrition, and then my master's in kinesiology. But I'm really a big proponent of anything nutrition. I actually work with all the athletes here, with the basketball team, with the tennis team, with the golf team, with everything. I'm their sports nutritionist that they go to for questions. But I also work with special populations, and I do a lot of things. I work at the hospital too, with my bariatric patients. But one thing that I wanted to tell you all about is just, you know, the basic terms, because a lot of hype right now of like what to eat, how to eat it, when to eat it, at what time, how much protein, how much carbs. And so I don't like when people obsess about, you know, amounts of things. More than anything, I want people to have a good diet. And the thing about diets is that people are like, well, I'm on a diet. Well, I'm on this diet, and I'm on that diet. Well, the thing is that they use the term incorrectly, because a diet, everybody's on a diet. You may have a good diet, you may have a bad diet. You know, a koala bear has a diet, a crocodile has a diet, we have a diet, everybody has a diet. So diet is what you eat, and so you can't be focusing on, well, high protein diet or low carb or whatever the new fad diet is out there. Calories, the thing with calories is that you can only eat them. That's the only way to get them, unless you're in the hospital and then we feed you intravenously. That's a different story. But most of us get calories through our mouth, right? And the only way to expend them, well, there's a couple of ways to expend them. One, which is the next term that's right here, BMR, which stands for basal metabolic rate. And this is what exercise helps with. Because anytime that you're exercising, anytime that you do anything above and beyond your normal activity, you are raising your metabolism. And that's what we call it in layman's terms, right? So when you weight train, when you do cardio, all of that raises your metabolism. That's why a lot of people are like, well, you're skinny because you have a high metabolism. Well, it's not just genetics, it's also what you do. And you can always increase your basal metabolic rate. And let me jump back up to essential nutrients. Essential nutrients is what we need to have a little bit of everything, and there's the following slide talks about it more in detail. So these are the things that you have to obtain from food. One example of a non-essential nutrient where my students are like, wow, really, I didn't know this, would be cholesterol. We don't have to eat cholesterol ever, right? Because our own liver produces it. So if we have a 0 cholesterol diet, we'll be golden, we'll be fine. On the other hand, other nutrients, which we're going to talk about in the next slide, are not as, our body can't make it, so they're very important. And then some of the things that you can see are like RDA, which is recommended dietary allowances. You will see them on a nutrition label, and it just gives you an idea of how much you should be eating. But keep this in mind, everybody's different. Everybody is in a different stage of life. Children, adults, pregnant women, nursing women, senior citizens, people with osteoporosis, people who have diabetes. All of those people have different things, and that's why, you know, nutritionist jobs exist, because you can't do just a cookie cutter diet for everybody. So kind of upsetting when people, you know, look online and they're like, oh, this is a good diet. No, it's not. You have to make sure it's specifically for you. The other thing is making sure that you know the difference between simple carbs and complex carbs, and we'll talk about that in the next slide when we're over here. Big thing, water, right? Have your baby with you at all times. What's your baby? Your water bottle. Always, never leave it. They actually did a study here at the university where they compared people that are dehydrated with people that are hydrated and their grades, and of course we know that dehydration completely lowers your grades, because your body and your brain needs water to operate. You cannot do anything. You can't even blink, talk, anything without water. You can't go to the bathroom. You definitely can't exercise. And a lot of people get upset when we're talking about exercise because they gain a little bit of weight the first month they're exercising. And mostly what it is water, because your body doesn't know how much water it's going to need because you're doing this brand new thing, right? And so some of my students come back and they're like, Ms. Rocha, I can't even pick up my jeans. My legs are this big, you know, because they're swollen. And they're like, am I getting fat? I've been exercising for a month. What's going on? And all it is what? Water. Your muscle is 80% water, so it doesn't know how much it's going to need. It absorbs it, and you need it. So you do not want to be dehydrated. You can't do anything without water. The other thing you can't do things without are vitamins and minerals. Both of these facilitate energy release. They help you think better. They help you go to the bathroom better. They help you do everything better. And the problem where we come across with vitamins and minerals is that people eat junk food, right? They don't eat salads. They don't eat vegetables. Their green stuff is yuck. You know, they have this thing attached to them where vegetables are not good to eat. They're good for you, but they're not good to eat. So without vitamins and minerals, we can't burn fat. We can't, have pretty nails, skin, hair, all of that. We can't think. We can't do all the things that we need to do. And these things on the right-hand side, we cannot utilize any of the right-hand things without vitamins and minerals. So if you have no vitamins and minerals, you have no key to open the door. So without them, you can't get access to carbohydrates, protein, or fat. All three of those things we need to eat as well. We need to get it from food. And if you notice right here, carbohydrates, what does it fuel? The muscles specifically and the brain. That's why low-carb diets are terrible for you, because especially if you're in school or especially if you're trying to exercise, you have no fuel, right? All you can pull from is protein, and that is not what protein is for. If you notice here, protein says maintain, build, and repair the body tissues. Nowhere there does it say it gives you energy or it fuels your muscles, because it doesn't. Okay, it's just there to be a structure kind of thing. And then fat, that's basically our storage. Anything that we eat in excess goes to fat. Now, having said that, though, a lot of people think that because they eat too much, they're fat. Some people are obese because they don't eat enough. So what does the body do? It basically goes into what we call deprivation mode. And what is deprivation mode? You're not eating enough? Okay, whatever it is that you're going to eat, I'm storing it. I'm storing it for the winter, because I don't know when you're going to feed me again. So value mentality, and I see this with a bunch of patients, is they eat once a day. Because they think, well, first of all, I don't have time, right? Just like they don't have time to exercise, they don't have time to do anything else, and especially not cook healthy meals, or they don't have the budget, right? Because eating healthy is more expensive, which is not true. So the thing with that is that you need to make sure not only that you have a good schedule, like Mr. Garza was saying, but also incorporate good ideas for the children, especially when you're in the classroom, and we'll talk about that in a second. Make sure that you yourself are modeling it, right? One of the things that I love about my not youngest daughter, the youngest one that's in school, is the teacher requires them to bring a water bottle to class every day. If you don't have it, you have to call your parent, to get it for you. So you have to have a water bottle. And that's the same way that I am with my college kids. I don't even allow them into class unless they have their water bottle. Because I don't want them dehydrated. I don't want them, what's the point of doing what they're doing if you don't have that water with them? So you want to be able to eat a good, well-rounded diet with carbohydrates, with proteins, with fat, and of course don't have it in excess or don't eat too little, because if you eat too little, we start to see it here in the belly. And why? Because this is our storage, this is our warehouse. So we want to try and stay away from that. How should our diet be? We should be low in calories, but not too low, because if we get excessively low, that means we're not eating enough, and again, we go into storage mode. We have to have high fiber. This is a big, big, big problem, especially here in America, because everything's white. White rice, white bread, white pasta, white pizza, right? Everything is on white bread. So we want to make sure that everything is high in fiber. So how do we get high in fiber? Well, the difference is 100% whole wheat bread instead of white bread. Whole wheat pasta instead of white pasta. Brown rice, and I'm not talking about the stir-fried soy sauce brown. No, I'm talking about the actual brown whole grain rice. I was laughing because one of my students came back and said, "Oh, Ms. Rocha, I had brown rice." I'm like, "Really? Where'd you have it?" And she said something like some Chinese restaurant, and I was like, "No, that's fried rice. That's not brown rice. They colored it." Just like they do that honey wheat bread, it's not really whole wheat bread. They just put caramel on it to make it brown, make it seem like it's healthy, but it's not. So you have to watch out for that also, because we have a capitalist economy, and the whole point is to sell products, right? So they'll tell you, and they'll put on the packages whatever they need to make you buy it. And especially one of my great examples is macaroni and cheese, right? On the front, the moms are like, "Wow, I'm doing something good for my kids," because it says they're real big, high in calcium, right? Or great source of calcium. Yes, it's a great source of calcium, but what about fat and sodium, and it's white pasta? So you have to make sure you know what you're getting. The other example of that is my students come back and they're like, "Ms. Rocha, I got omega-3 cookies." I'm like, "Which omega-3 cookies?" Because they're like loaded with butter and sugar, and it's white, again, flour, so not good stuff. You want to have it balanced and varied, and by that I mean do not concentrate on just protein, because as we said, not only do we not give our brain any energy, but our kidneys are suffering for it. They're saying that people that are on high protein diets are on dialysis by the age of 40. Why? Because you're overworking your kidneys. Your kidneys can only absorb a certain amount of protein per day at a time. So if you do too much, not only are you overworking your kidneys, but then your liver has to step in for your kidneys, and your liver is in charge of burning fat, and it's not going to help if they're busy doing other things. Also, make sure it's moderate. They always say you should look at your grocery cart, and it should be a little bit of everything, and pretty much stay on the perimeter of the grocery store. Make it to where it has dense nutrients, and I tell my students and my patients, I'm like, eating a Snickers or eating a sandwich on whole wheat bread with turkey, tomato, lettuce, you can throw bean sprouts in there, hummus, I don't know, whatever you want. 250 calories, both of them, and which one's better for you? I mean, it's the same thing. It's the same amount of calories. You just have to make sure you have the good nutrients. Always start with, picking the best thing of everything. And I tell my patients, start now. The next thing that you're going to eat, you want to pick the right stuff. Filled with water, we already talked about that. Low in fats and alcohol, that's a given. And in line with the food guide pyramid, which is just something that the USDA has put out. And they change it all the time, so you just have to keep up with it. How do we incorporate all these things into the classroom? One of the things that we can do is activities with food games. And my daughter's schools, I just gave a presentation last week. They know that I'm a nutritionist, so they always call me, how do we read food labels? How do we do this? How do we do that? I've done presentations in which ones of their classrooms. I have 4 daughters, by the way, that's why I said daughters. My last one is my boy, finally got it. Lessons with movement, doing things like one of the things that I still remember that my teacher did with me in 2nd grade was an around the world game. Have y'all ever done that? To like when you put 2 people on the board and they race and then they keep going all around and pretty much you move all around the classroom. So doing things like that. Also math problems with food, have them count Cheerios or something, that's healthy, or even fruit, carrot sticks, any of those things. And also do things like posters in the classroom because, believe it or not, everything that we see, like this is an example of a poster. I want to show you something like this that you can count strawberries or make watermelons. Everything that we see, the more that we see it, the more that, it's impressed into our mind, the more we'll use it, when you don't even know about it, but subconsciously you're like, oh, yes, I remember I saw something somewhere. And I was really happy with the Department of Agriculture when they did that 5-a-day, the colorway. I don't know if y'all ever saw like the little fans of colors there in the grocery store where they're like, pick purple, pick yellow, pick green, pick red, pick orange. So you have to pick one of each because they've done longitudinal studies where, people that they follow people for 20, 30 years that eat 5 fruits or vegetables a day, specifically of different colors, don't have cancer, don't have heart disease, don't have to suffer diabetes, don't have, like all the slides that we were showing at the beginning of the presentation, all of those things. And of course, a big part of it is also exercising. So if you do posters like this is the latest one. I think they're moving away from the food guide pyramid. Now they're actually saying, this is how much fruit you should have on your plate, how much vegetables, how much protein, how much grain, and the dairy. This is an example of a poster that teachers can put up in the classroom. There's lots of posters out there. The other thing is that you can make the students themselves, pick a topic and say why something's so good and have them make posters. There's games that you can play, the Go, Slow, Whoa, and there's one on the computer. There's also one where, you have a flashcard, like say, for example, a picture of a watermelon. That's a go food, a picture of Fritos. That's a what does it say? Whoa, yeah, whoa food. So kind of give them an idea of what foods are good, what foods are not as good, and what foods should be eaten ever so often. You can do a vegetable puppet show. You can do things like recipes in the classroom. That's one of my favorites. I actually did this with one of my daughter's class, and they loved it, because a lot of kids were like, I've never tried strawberries. And I was like, how can you not have tried strawberries? But, that's something that is for me. And then one time I remember real clearly, I was walking through the grocery store, and my daughter was like, Mommy, I want papaya. Mommy, I want papaya. She was like 2 years old. And the ladies were like, she knows what papaya is? And I'm like, yep. So, it's just things. And they were saying something like, I was hearing it on the radio when I was coming to work. Something like students got asked, what, like pictures of eggplant and pictures of, different vegetables, and they couldn't name them. But if you asked them to name alcohol bottles, like beers and things like that, they could name them. I was like, that's sad, but true. So this is another interactive website where you can do. And one of the things when I was growing up, that one of my uncles really, really impressed on, and I've never forgotten it, and I almost want to blame him for becoming a nutritionist because of this, is because he would tell me, Nancy, if you eat onions, it's good for your teeth, and because, it's good for this. And so I love this website because that's exactly what it tells you. So, for example, biotin, which is a mineral that we're like, what is that, right? What does it do? It breaks down carbohydrates, lipids, and proteins. Who does not want to break down lipids, which is your fat, right? So how do you find that? Well, it tells you right here. Peanuts is good, one good way. Filberts, almonds, peanut butter, egg, cashews, egg, all of those. All of those it gives you, and you can like slide them out of the way so that you could see and what the servings are, because that's a big thing. And then also, remember I told you that different stages of life, look at that. Look at how it changes. And this is 0 to 6 months, 7 to 12 months, 1 to 3, 4 to 8 years, 9 to 13, 19 plus. So mostly after 19 years old, we stay the same throughout our lifetime unless we have some condition. heart disease, kidney disease, those kind of things, osteoporosis, then the requirements change. But mostly after that, well, with women, if you get pregnant or you nurse, also difference. But for the most part, after 19, it pretty much stays steady. It's the first part of life, which is the first part that we're talking about, right? Relevant to children in the classroom, where you can see how much you need of everything. And you can go through all kinds of, see how it says vitamins, minerals, it has everything in there. So yeah, and now on to Ms. Ryman. Ms. Ryman. Oh, you wanted me to address some questions, right? Yes, you do have to wait after you eat, because you know how they tell you wait an hour before you go swimming? Same thing with any kind of food, and that's a lot of mistake that we as mothers make. And I know this is gonna blow your mind, and you may not believe me, but it's true. When you eat standing up, what muscles are you using? Your major muscle groups, right? So your body's like, what do I do? Do I digest or do I exercise? So that's why one of the reasons why you should not exercise, also because it gives you cramps, but because your body's busy digesting and metabolizing. So if you are prone to eating standing up, and just observe people, they usually have bellies, because your body's like, I didn't get a chance to digest anything. So yeah, you always want to wait. So eat sitting down, eat calmly. We usually eat fast, or we eat more when we eat standing up. Plus, like I said, your body's busy, holding you up, and you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Good morning, I'm Jeannean Ryman, and we've been learning a lot of information this morning, and one of the things, like we've all talked about, is how do we put this into practice? That's the key element, is putting things into practice. And we are going to talk to you a little bit about some different ways to incorporate these subjects across the board in the school curriculum. This is one of the problems I see with education today, is that we are so compartmentalized. I'm responsible for teaching this. You're responsible for teaching that. We need to collaborate. We need to help each other out. When we do now in schools, what is the big goal? What is the big goal in education? In STAR testing. STAR testing. So whose responsibility is STAR testing? All the teachers are responsible for it, although the core courses have the most pressure, right? And I've heard some teachers say this. Well, we're the ones under pressure to have our kids pass the test. We have to pass the test. Y'all are all the other fluff stuff, Well, let's help each other out. How can we help those core courses? How can we incorporate some of the things that they're responsible for teaching into our subjects? So this is one of the things I find in physical education. We have an area, we talk about nutrition, we talk about exercise, we talk about health, we talk about wellness. Who remembers the classic Greek theology from thousands of years ago? What was the Greek philosophy? Does anybody know that? You all know it. You may just not know specifically remember it. A sound mind is a sound body. Okay, that was their philosophy. Their whole civilization was based on. And we have kind of gotten away from that. Again, because of technology, progress in our industrial society. We are now in the technological society. So we tend to kind of go a little bit more with the mind and forget about the body. But the wellness, whole concept of wellness, is like a big circle. There's different components. If one component is out of whack, they all tend to be. Nothing's in balance. So it's kind of that way in the school setting. If we all are off in little compartments doing our little thing, then we tend to be disjointed. And so what I have been seeing is in some very successful schools is that they are incorporating subjects across the board. They are including math in PE. They're including science in PE. PE is including a lot of these things, and they're very easy ways to do it. So we're going to be talking about that. And it's not just PE, because I see it in other subjects too. In biology, they're teaching some math skills. Okay, so it's English. They're teaching some biology things and history things. So again, it doesn't need to be so compartmentalized, even though sometimes as teachers we feel overwhelmed with what we have to teach. But incorporating all the subjects in yours will also help everyone else, and so it's not so much pressure on one area. So if y'all will kind of stand up. I know you've been sitting a while. It's time to get moving a little bit. All right, one of the easiest things to do, like I said in PE, is I won't have y'all do anything too strenuous, but as part of your warm-ups, okay? We talked a little bit while ago about these 6 essential nutrients. Do y'all remember what they are? You can look at your notes if you need to. What were those 6 essential nutrients we talked about? Water, vitamins, minerals, carbohydrates, proteins, fats. Okay, so with those 6 nutrients, we're going to, let's do, can y'all just, we don't have to go all the way down to the bottom, but let's do toe touches. First nutrient, touch water, up, clap. Second nutrient, vitamins, down, up, clap. Third nutrient, minerals, down, up, clap. Fourth nutrient, carbohydrates, down, up, clap. Fifth nutrient, protein, down, up, clap. And 6 nutrients, fats, down, up, clap. Okay, let's do a trunk twister and spell carbohydrate. Ready? Begin. C A R B O H Y D R A T E. Yay. All right, let's do side twist. And we are going to spell protein. P R O T E I N. Let's go to the other side and spell minerals. M I N E R A L S. All right, good job. Y'all ready for a little bit of jumping jacks with our math tables? Let's do multiplications of 2. Ready? We can just do it like this. Ready? Begin. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 5 is 10. And so forth, okay? All right, good job, class. Y'all feeling up? Move now? Okay. All right, you can have a seat now. So you see how easy that is? You can just very easily, and part of the things I have, like I said, seen that very successful schools at their faculty meetings, they do team work where the teachers let every department know, we're teaching this week. We're going to be teaching that this week. We're going to be doing this week. So that everybody can look at the curriculum at the school and know what is being taught. What's one of the problems, though, with curriculums? A lot of people don't use them, do they? Okay, so we need to make sure we're going to be using them. So that's the thing. So again, if it's a team effort, if we're talking about a lot of different things here, we can help each other out. This is an example. I was at Valley View High School the other day. I supervise student teachers, and this is my student teacher back here, and this is her 6th and 7th grade class. And as you can see on the back here and up here, you kind of, that was their scoreboard. It's underneath the scoreboard, their flag. All those are vocabulary words. They go in every week and change the vocabulary words on the board. And so what I did was everything that was underlined there in red, I saw her incorporate those words into her basketball lesson. Okay? She talked, I can't really, I'm sure you all probably can't read everything. Angle, these are a lot of math terms. Angle, degree, straight, power, mass, range, force, so forth. Okay? So again, a lot of those vocabulary words can be used in any subject. So again, we can use this as a team effort to teach these things and be creative. I gave you all a handout here of frog and lily pads. This is a PE activity for elementary school children. However, it can be adapted to pretty much any age by changing some of the language and some of the skills. But basically, it is a game where you have hula hoops of different sizes. You have the big hula hoops and then the smaller hula hoops. And this is teaching the kids your basic locomotor skills, as well as teaching them a little bit of some biology, okay, and as well as some throwing skills, the underhand throw and the overhand throw. So they were in a big circle, and the hula hoops were lily pads. And if you got 2 bean bags on a small lily pad, that sunk the lily pad, so they couldn't throw any more on it. The big lily pads held 5, and the bean bags were frogs. But you could use any subject, any animal you wanted, but they were frogs. So when the big lily pad had 5 frogs on it, it sunk and you couldn't use that anymore. So they went around and they did this game, and it is, you see they have the physical education objectives, and the learner is expected to remain active throughout the activity to increase heart rate, okay? The science objectives were to identify different animals in an ecosystem and recognize that long-term survival of species is dependent on changing resource bases that are limited. All the lily pads are gone. There's nowhere else for them to be. Destroys their food system, their ecosystem. Describe how environmental change can impact ecosystem stability. And then math objectives, the learner is expected to differentiate between even and odd numbers and percentages of tosses for accuracy. Depending on the grade level, you can do all kinds of math activities with that as well. I've seen lots of games where there's all part of the game is answering questions. Maybe the classroom teachers have said, we're having trouble with this. We need to incorporate more questioning techniques about this subject. So could you help us out? I've seen lots of fun things done that way too. So this is one of the, like I said, this is one of the areas I think we tend as teachers, again, to be too much off in our own little areas and not working as a group to follow through. So that is really what this section is about, just working as a team. So given some of these few ideas here, I would like for you, would you mind go ahead and coming on up here? If you wouldn't mind joining our big group over here. And I'd like to give y'all just 1 minute to talk about, now you're in what area? Bilingual? Okay, everybody bilingual? Okay, so let's talk about, I'm going to give you 1 minute to brainstorm real quick on how you can incorporate nutrition into your bilingual program. Real quick. Ready, set, go. Okay, real quickly, what did y'all come up with?
One of those things that we talked is how we can describe the fruit, like the other lady said, some of them haven't seen like a strawberry or a papaya. And we could do it both in English and Spanish and have like how they can interconnect the vocabulary.
Okay, good. One thing interesting, this is a flower, but I learned this last night. Fred still had their poinsettia from Christmas. And this other person that was there goes, she goes, that flower's from Mexico. You know that. They're called the Noche Buena. And so that's another way there's certain food that the kids are familiar with calling it in Spanish, but there's also in English. So cross-referencing that is a good way to do that too. So again, these are just, there's so many different things we can do. We just need to open our mind and broaden our thinking and become creative. Because one of the things I have learned, I've been teaching for 30 plus years now, and I am still 28 also. But one of the things I have seen over the years is the teachers who are the most successful tend to be the most creative. Because what is learning supposed to be? Fun. If learning's not fun, people don't want to do it. We all like to do fun things. Okay? We're not so keen on doing things that aren't fun. So learning how to be creative in the classroom, whatever subject you teach, is very important. And keeping the kids active and engaged, and these kind of things, you know, you all can have them stand up and do those exact same things I just did. It doesn't have to be PE class to do that. Okay, you'll talk about burning off that energy. Sometimes that's what they need to do. They need to get up out of their chairs. Okay, and give them something purposeful to do, not just run around. Okay, so these are some ideas. And y'all have any questions? Any specific questions you would like answered on anything that we have gone over? We're kind of getting close to time here. I just don't want to run out of time.
No, but I just like the way, like you said, we include other stuff in our content area, not just stay within those boundaries.
I've seen, like I said, there's one school in particular, it was an elementary school many years ago. I was just so impressed when I went there because every single teacher knew what was going on pretty much that week. Okay, we're all teaching about this, so we're all including all this stuff. And it really was a very team effort. And you know, when you're working as a team, you have a lot more enthusiasm and there's a lot more supportive feeling. And so, and this is also very good for new teachers because they need that support system, and this helps them greatly. Now, how do you implement this? If your school's not that way, how do you implement this? How can you get everybody on board? You know who actually got this started at that school? And this is unusual because it was the PE teachers that did it. They went and said, look, we would like to do this and this and this, and we're willing to help y'all if y'all are willing to help us. And so they got the whole thing together. But it doesn't have to be the PE teachers. It could be the bilingual teachers that do this. We need help. We're willing to help you. Are you willing to help us? So again, it doesn't have to be the directive coming from administration. A lot of times the teachers are the ones involved in the change. So that's what we want you to think about is how can I help other people teach what they need to teach and they can help me. Because if it's a win-win situation, and especially for the kids. Okay? Well, thank you very much. This next slide, we already did the questions. This is our contact information. So if you all have any questions or comments, we appreciate your attention. Hope you are coming away this morning with some worthwhile information and you feel like you spent an hour and 20 minutes doing something good. Thank you very much.
So thank you to our two presenters, well, our three presenters. I appreciate very much. I enjoyed sitting kind of in the back there and listening. And it made me think about when I was a teacher, my last years of teaching, I had some really active, let me put it that way, active groups of fifth graders. And we took them out every morning. We did laps. We just walked the track for about 20 minutes every morning. And it just made the rest of our day so much easier to get that little bit of physical activity. They were, you know, on rainy days, they just suddenly couldn't focus anymore because they didn't have that activity. So it's very important as teachers that we help our kids learn to be healthy. So thank you all for coming. We appreciate it.